it's Mariam. Welcome to my March reading wrap up. I read a total of 9 books this month, which is my personal best. I am so excited to share my reviews and ratings with you guys. I've got some really great books and some not so great ones, and also a DNF. I will include the DNF book at the end of this video. It is a very popular BookTok one, so I'll be interested to see what your thoughts are as well. The first book I read was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This was my first fantasy read of the year, and at first I was very intimidated because of how big the book was, but I really enjoyed it. It was a little slow at times, but I feel like that was it was purposely made to be slow because the character's life is very slow. Basically, this book is about a girl named Addie LaRue. She is born in the 18th century and she makes a deal with the darkness, but she words it really badly, and she basically asks for immortality, and that comes with a price, and that price was that everyone forgets who she is, and every new person that she meets never remembers her as soon as they leave the room, fall asleep, all that stuff. And 300 years go by, and then she actually meets someone at a bookshop, and by whatever miracle he ends up remembering her, which is so weird because 300 years have gone by and not a single person has been able to remember her. And you basically follow her life from the 18th century to the 21st century. You see all the people she meets, who she falls in love with, but it never working out. This book was actually so much sadder than I expected, in the sense of imagine living and you remember every single encounter with everyone, but not a single soul remembers who you are, and you have to live that life for 300 years. That is so sad, but I absolutely loved this book. As I said before, it was a little bit slow, especially towards the first couple hundred pages, but I feel like that is so important to the story because she's lived for 300 years. Obviously her life is going to be slow, and I think that was what we were meant to feel as well as the reader. I really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend. Just keep in mind it is a little bit slow, and I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I actually did a buddy read of this one with my friend Addie. We actually have a bookstagram together, so make sure you go check that out. But anyways, this book is a psychological thriller, and it is such a page turner. If you're in a reading slump, I highly recommend this one. It is about a girl named Alicia Berenson, and one day she actually kills her husband, and straight after that she goes completely silent, and she has not spoken for 6 years. And after the 6 years she is in this psychiatric unit, and then this guy named Theo, who is a psychotherapist, is hired at the psychiatric unit, and he's the only one that can make her speak. It's so interesting. There is a huge plot twist toward the end that I was not expecting, but it tied in the story so well. The only thing that really frustrated me about this book is the ending, because I needed more closure. I had so many questions after the ending. Highly recommend this one if you're getting into thrillers, or if you're just needing a book to get you out of a reading slump, because it is so fast paced, it's so interesting, and it's such a unique story. I rated this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Lily and the Octopus by Stephen Rowley. This book made me cry, and it takes a lot for me to cry in a book, so the fact that this one made me cry is really saying something. This is about Ted and Lily. Lily is the dog and Ted is Lily's owner, and they share a very, very special bond. They're practically soulmates. One day Ted finds Lily has a tumor on her head, which he nicknames as an octopus because it resembles an octopus. If you share a very special bond with an animal, I definitely think you're going to be able to relate to this book. I found the whole time I was reading this, I was like, I can totally relate to Ted and Lily's relationship, because that is literally me and my dog Bella. Lily reminded me so much of Bella, and within the last 50 pages, the last day that Lily was alive, had me absolutely sobbing. I was crying. The book doesn't really have the best writing, and Ted's thoughts were all over the place, which I feel like is kind of the point because your thoughts are all over the place dealing with all of that. But yeah, the writing isn't the greatest, but just the way that I could relate to it and I could connect to it, and the fact that it made me cry, I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Party by Robyn Harding. I didn't like this book. It was not my thing at all. I'm surprised I didn't even DNF it, to be honest, but this is a domestic drama, which is also another annoying thing because I thought this book was a thriller going into it, but it was a domestic drama. This is about a girl named Hannah. She is about to turn 16 and she's just joined the popular group, and for her 16th birthday she has a sleepover at her house, and her and her family are like rich, wealthy, are portrayed as like the perfect family on the outside, but obviously there's a lot of secrets on the inside. Then at the sleepover there are 2 popular girls are there, and because Hannah is wanting to impress them, she gets alcohol, they get drugs, and then one of the popular girls has an accident at the party and there's this huge lawsuit, there's secrets that get revealed. I found it really boring and all of the characters were unlikable. I need to love a character to actually enjoy a book, and I hated every single character in this book. They were all so annoying. I wasn't rooting for anyone and it was so bad, and the ending also sucked. So I ended up rating this one 1.5 out of 5 stars, which I think is the lowest rating I've ever given a book. But yeah, I don't recommend it. Then I read Fixer Up by Tessa Bailey, and I love this book. This book was so freaking good. This is a rom-com, fake dating, brother's best friend. It's always been you on the girl's side. So we've got our main character, Georgie, who is a 23-year-old. She is the youngest Castle sibling, and her family own a fixer-upper business. But Georgie is wanting to start a business venture in entertainment, but everyone in her family, including her small town, treats her like a little kid and never takes her seriously. And then you have the love interest, Travis, who was this big shot baseball player, but he has an injury, so he ends up moving back to his small town, and he gets a job working with his best friend, who is Georgie's brother. But then a job opportunity opens up for him to be a commentator for baseball, but he needs to fix up his reputation because he is notorious for dating everyone and being a huge player. So Travis and Georgie strike up a deal to fake date, because then Georgie will have people take her more seriously because she's in a relationship with someone, and Travis will start getting a better reputation because he is dating good girl Georgie. This book is just so good. It was such an easy read, and this book is also spicy, so if that's your thing, definitely pick this one up. And the ending, oh my goodness, the ending was so sweet and wholesome. I was like, my heart, so cute. There are 2 other books in this series as well. It's part of the Hot and Hammered series, and I'm 100% going to be reading them after, because this book was chef's kiss, immaculate. Then I read The Kissing Booth by Beth Recalls, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will recognize this because it is a very popular Netflix original movie, but I decided to read the book because they had it at my local library and I was like, why not? This is a brother's best friend, kind of secret forbidden romance, I guess. So we've got the main character, Elle. She has been best friends with Lee since they were babies, and Lee has an older brother named Noah who Elle has always had a crush on, and Lee and Elle are hosting like this kissing booth at their school carnival, and of course Elle and Noah end up kissing at the kissing booth, obviously, but they end up trying to keep it a secret from everyone because Elle is worried about ruining her friendship with Lee. This book is very cringy, and don't get me wrong, I love a good cheesy rom-com, but I feel like some of the parts in this book I literally had secondhand embarrassment. It was way too cringy for me. Also, the movie is a little bit cringy as well, but I feel like it's not as cringy as the book. And there are also a lot of differences between the book and the movie. Like in the movie, they had friendship rules list thing. That's not included in this book. In the movie, they also had the arcade dancing game that they would play. That's not even mentioned in this book. There are a lot of differences between the book and the movie, and I just felt like the movie was actually a lot better than the book. I did rate this one a 3 out of 5 stars though. Like there were still some aspects of the book that I kind of enjoyed, enjoyed, and it was just a very easy read. The next two books I actually read for the Hello Spring Autumn readathon, which I actually filmed a reading vlog on that one, so I'll have that link down below. That was so much fun. So the first book I read for that readathon was The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, which is a mystery thriller. So it was all in the perspective of Hannah. Her husband Owen disappears one day and he leaves a note for her saying protect her, which is in reference to Owen's daughter Bailey, who is not the biggest fan of Hannah because Hannah is Bailey's stepmom. And then Hannah and Bailey find out that the workplace that Owen worked at, the boss got arrested for fraud, but then they discover other secrets along the way, and Owen may not be who he said he is, and they kind of have to figure out what Owen is running from and who he really is. It is so interesting, very much a page turner. I also really loved the character development and relationship development between Hannah and Bailey. The last line in this book was just so wholesome. It had me like feeling all warm and fuzzy, honestly, and the ending was very bittersweet. I rated this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. The other book I read for the readathon was actually my first and only 5-star read of March, and that was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. If you're looking for a book that is just gonna have you contemplating life, I think you should read this book. This is a fantasy and it follows a girl named Nora, and Nora is really struggling mentally and is feeling very out of place in life, and she actually tries to overdose in hopes that she would die, but then she ends up at this place called the Midnight Library, and the library is full of books, and every book that she picks she can actually enter a new life of her choice to see what would have happened if she made this decision or ended up doing this instead of that, to see what her life would have been like. And it just really makes you think that every single decision, no matter how small it is, can have a huge impact on your future and your mindset. So this book definitely had me thinking and questioning life, in the sense of like every decision that you make really needs to count, because it really can impact your whole future and other people's future as well. So good, like literally so good. And there is so many good quotes in this book. I was so tempted to highlight, but I borrowed this one from the library, so I definitely need to get a copy of my own because I'm 100% going to reread this at some point, and I will be annotating it. 5 out of 5 stars, highly recommend. I know this book has a lot of mixed reviews. You're either going to love or hate it, but I personally loved it. Really well done, and I feel like I can also relate to Nora in a lot of ways as well. And I ended March with a cute little young adult romance, and that was The Upside of Falling by Alex Light. This is a dual perspective book, so I love that, and this is fake dating, strangers to friends to lovers, and it's so cute. So you've got our main character Becca, who's probably one of the most relatable main characters. So she is very much a bookworm, very introverted, very reserved, and then you've got Brett, who is the captain of the football team. Him and his family are really wealthy and well known. They end up fake dating because Becca needs to convince her ex-best friend that she's dating someone, and Brett is like wanting to impress his dad because his dad is like, you should be dating, but he's wanting to focus more on school and football. So they decide to end up fake dating, and their relationship over time progresses, obviously. It is a pretty short book. It's only 279 pages, so I would have loved to have seen if it was a little bit longer, because it would have been nice to see them more like progressively end up going from fake dating to lovers, because it was really a quick switch between fake dating to lovers. But yeah, I still think it was a really cute story, and this book was actually originally written on Wattpad, and I thought it was really good. I feel like a lot of people hate on Wattpad books, but I was very much a Wattpad girl, and I really enjoyed this book. It was very cute and wholesome, so if that's your vibe, I think you should definitely read this book. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. And the book that I DNF'd was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I tried so hard to read this book, but I just could not get into it. I DNF'd after chapter 5. It was just words on paper for me. Like, it was going in one ear out the other. I was struggling so much, like concentrating with this book. I'm just not into Greek mythology, and I feel like that really really impacted me as a reader for this book, so I just had to DNF it. I felt so bad DNFing it though, because I know it's a lot of people's favorite books, but it's just not my thing. But yeah, let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned and what your favorite book that you read in March was, because I would love to know. I love getting new book recommendations. And also make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed watching, and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. I post lifestyle videos, book videos, and house videos. And follow me on my Instagram. I will also have my Goodreads and my book Instagram link down below as well. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!